Hello, I'm going to show you how easy it is to enter a new patient into the EyeCodex system and to provide that patient with access to the patient's diagnostic images as is required under HIPAA. So we're going to go to the EyeCodex page here and log in as the care provider, and we will be taken straight to the care provider's main page, which is basically an index of the patients. Now, at this point, we assume a patient calls us up on the phone and we want to add this new patient. Now, we can either add a primary or a secondary patient. A secondary patient would be someone like a minor under age 12 or someone else not legally in charge of their own medical records, whereas a primary patient is simply someone who represents himself. So we're going to add a primary patient in this case, and as I said, we assume that the patient has called in on the phone, so after verifying that this phone number is in fact a place where we can regularly access the patient, we enter the number, and we will also now want to enter Mr. John Doe into the system. So we need his name and his date of birth, and then we will also need his gender, and once that is all entered, you will notice on the bottom here we also have some categories. Now the categories are user defined, user created. They can be almost anything. And at this point, the only category that Mr. Doe actually fits into is which clinic he's coming into, because until we examine him, we don't know if he has any of these other conditions. So we will have the option to add additional categories later, but for right now, we only go with Downtown Clinic. I click Add, and you see now Mr. Doe does indeed appear. You will notice that his patient index entry has no email address, and if we go all the way over here onto the right side and we click on View Images, you will see that there are no images in the database. So when Mr. Doe comes in, we will give him an exam. We will then take those images and add them to the database, and after we do that, if I click on View Images again, you will see the image appears. Now, at this point, Mr. Doe asks for access to his images. If you have a DVD burner, I suppose you could you could extract them and burn them to DVD, but EyeCodex has a much simpler solution. We simply go back to the patient info, and in our system, the way to get access to your images is to enter an email address. Now, these days, when free email addresses are a dime a dozen, we can rest assured that the patient will be able to do this without too much difficulty. We now hit Update. You will notice that in fact the email address now appears under the patient's profile. So we're done here at the clinic, and we switch to the perspective of Mr. Doe, and we go into his email and we click on his inbox to see if there are any new messages, and we see that there is a new message from the EyeCodex management system, and what it has done, it has supplied a password here for Mr. Doe. So we're just going to copy that because we will need it, and we will now go to the EyeCodex site. We will enter Mr. Doe's email address, and we will now paste in this password. And since his password was a random string, and this is his very first visit to the site, the first thing we're going to do, of course, is to ask him to pick a new password. And we'll in fact ask him to do this twice because we need to guard against typos. Once he enters the password and hits Update, he is now logged in to his EyeCodex account, where he can also get recommendations and reminders about his eye appointments. But what we want to do for right now is make sure that he has access to his images as is required under HIPAA. So we go to the View Images page, we click, and we see the image appears. Thank you. This concludes the introductory tour explaining how easy and fast it is to enter a new patient into the EyeCodex system and to grant that patient access to diagnostic images as required by HIPAA.